Red Zone DFS. It is December 2nd, and sad to say, probably the last major college football slate of the year. So hopefully everybody had a great season and had a lot of fun. Hopefully I was able to help a few people, learn a few things, make some money, all that good stuff. But yeah, we have pretty much the last major slate here, from what I understand. They'll have single game slates and 2-day slates and things like that. But as far as college football goes, this is pretty much it. So, if you have some left in your bankroll, let it fly this weekend, I guess. But Saturday, we are shaping up to have an 8-game slate here on DraftKings, and let's dig into it a little bit. So some of the games that we have on the slate here, I'll keep this one short, obviously a shorter slate. And I think some pretty clear ideas and consensus on where we want to go. So Baylor at Oklahoma State. Oak State, the Pokes are 6.5-point favorites, 46.5 over under. We have Kent State at Northern Illinois, who's getting 2 points there. Utah State at San Diego State with a -6 for the home Aztecs. App State at Louisiana Lafayette. LL is a +3. We got Georgia at the Tide, +6.5 Alabama is, which is just wild to see. But Houston plays Cincinnati. Cincinnati is -10.5. Pitt at Wake Forest. That's the one that really jumps off everybody. Obviously a 71.5 or 71 over under, along with the Kent State, Northern Illinois. And then we wrap it up with Michigan at Iowa. Iowa's getting 10.5 right now. So the two games that really stand out, obviously, from a point spread, or I guess an over-under total of Vegas, Northern Illinois, Kent State, and Pittsburgh, Wake Forest. So my early thoughts are, obviously, I love both of those games, right? I think if you're going to play those games and play some of those quarterbacks and major weapons, you kind of, I feel like, have to get a piece of that. But if you're going to go to the main guys, Jordan Addison, Kenny Pickett, A.T. Perry, some of those guys, you got to get a little bit weird in the rest of your lineup if you want to take down a tournament this week, right? Shorter slate, I think everyone's going to be kind of, running in the same herd here. And I'll explain kind of what I'm getting at as far as where I'm thinking this week. So at quarterback, let's just dive into it. I have my top 5 here. Kenny Pickett starting up top. Wake Forest, look, they've got an all right defense, but nothing to scare me off of them. And he's potentially, going to be the first quarterback off the board come April, right, in the draft. So as long as Jordan Addison is playing, I think he's a pretty elite option, especially on this slate. He's got a really good matchup, and his offense obviously is high flying. Next up, Sam Hartman, 9,500. Look, Pitt has gotten beat against the pass pretty much all season. Now we get one of, let's see, the most explosive offenses going to be playing against them. I'll definitely have some shares of both of these quarterbacks in both sides of this game. Bryce Young, I have on here. So hear me out. Look, I don't want to attack Georgia. Definitely not. They're the best defense probably in the last 5 years, maybe 10 years. But like I said, if you want to win some money this week, you're going to have to get a little weird on this slate. I don't think flying or swimming in the same direction as all the other fish is going to pay off. Bryce Young, look, he's an elite player. I know he's had some ups and downs here this season, but he's got 2 very elite wide receivers. And the other thing that I think is just a gut play here, there's no statistics for this or anything else. The one thing I like about this game especially is, one, Alabama never gets blown out. They may lose, but they don't get blown out. They're not going to be intimidated by Georgia here, right? So Saban knows how to get this team ready to rock and roll. They have elite players. Is it Alabama's best team? No. But they can still hang with anybody, especially offensively. I think Bryce Young has to be at his best this week, along with his 2 main pass catchers if they want a shot. So I'll take some shots because I think a lot of people are going to see them playing Georgia, I have to assume, and not go that direction. So that's what I mean. If you're going to go like a chalky Wake Forest stack, you can bring it back with Bama, right? And I think that's a way to get a little bit different this week. Next up, I do have Dustin Crum up here, 8,300. I think Northern Illinois can be exploited both through the run and the pass. I think Crum is having a really good season. And then I'm going to wrap up quarterbacks in my player pool, at least with Spencer Sanders. Baylor does have a good defense, but they are better against the run than they are versus the pass. Watching him last week versus Oklahoma, it's tough to put a finger on it, but Spencer Sanders has a little bit of that it factor. He's got a little bit of like that Desmond Ridder vibe to him. I just think there's a big moment, big opportunity. I think his defense is good. I think he can make just enough plays to win this game for sure. And I think they have a outside shot at the playoff, right? So they're going to give it everything they got here. They want to bring it back, a Big 12 title. I think Sanders is a pretty interesting play here, and probably the cheapest I'll go on this slate. So running backs, we'll just knock it out pretty quick here. I like Jerome Ford. Houston has a really good defense. Like, I do not expect Cincinnati to absolutely stomp them this week. But I have to imagine Cincinnati is going to want to get back to running the football. I think throwing against Houston is a way to open yourself up to mistakes, and it's a way for Cincinnati to lose this game. So I think they have a pretty good coaching staff. I like Jerome Ford quite a bit this week. Jaylen Warren, 6,600. He's just too cheap, in my opinion. Baylor, again, is strong versus the run. But I think, again, if he's healthy, he's just too cheap for 6,600. Next up, I'm going to call it right now. I think it's probably my favorite play of the week is Northern Illinois is giving up over 200 yards per game on the ground. I think Marquez Cooper is going to be an awesome play here. 6,500 for a bell cow who's going in championship week in a very, very soft matchup. He's going to be in a lot of my lineups, Marquez Cooper this week. Tyler Goodson for Iowa. Look, I don't want to attack Michigan a whole lot, but again, you're telling me I'm going to get 20 to 25 carries, a bell cow guy at 6K. This is a week you kind of may have to take that, right? So matchup aside, we know what Iowa wants to do. The only way to beat Michigan is to not give them the football. In my opinion, Iowa is going to try to just run it 3 yards a play for 95 plays if they can. And that has Tyler Goodson written all over it. So next up, James Cook at 5,500 is interesting to me. Zamir White burns me every single time I play him, so I'm not going to play Zamir White, but I think James Cook is very interesting in this spot. I think he's a he's a back who has big playability, can catch the ball out of the backfield, and we know Bama's defense isn't great. So I think James Cook here is a really interesting play. Let's put it that way. Rodney Hammond at 4,800. Pitt's backfield has gotten kind of weird. The last 3 games, he's led in 2 of those as far as touches go. So if he is going to get, let's just say, if someone were to tell me he's going to lead the backfield in touches, I love him. He's going against Wake Forest. It's 118th ranked defense against the run this week. But you have concerns of like a rotation and a split backfield. So just be cognizant of that. But Rodney Hammond is interesting. If for whatever reason one of those guys sits, jump on the guys that are playing for sure. Because Wake Forest's defense is terrible. Against the run, that is. And then I have Blake Quorum back on here. 4,300. Again, not a great matchup. He is splitting carries here. Haskins is in there. I think the other guy, I forget his name right now, but they've got 3 guys, but he looked fresh last week. He looked like he had some bounce in the step. I think he got 8 or 9 DraftKings points with very limited touches. I think if he could get the same volume, probably an uptick a little bit is my guess. And if he can punch one in, you're groovy. So 4,300, I think, is an interesting pay down this week for a guy that is pretty explosive and could pop, a touchdown or 2 in there. So receivers, I'll fly through these here. Jordan Addison, not a lot needs to be said. One of the best, if not the best receiver in the country in a great matchup. Jamison Williams at 8K. I told you what I was saying earlier with Bama. For them to win this game, they're going to have to feature their best players, and their best players are going to have to ball out on Saturday. Jamison Williams is coming off an ejection for targeting, which is pretty wild. But I think him and Meach are both in pretty interesting spots here versus Georgia. Again, they are not going to back down to Georgia or be intimidated. They may lose and they may get their ass handed to them, but they're not going to back down or be afraid of them. They're going to keep taking shots and throw haymakers all game. So I like this play quite a bit. A.T. Perry, 7,700. Pitt has a terrible pass defense. So yes, A.T. Perry will be in my player pool. Along with Jacree Robertson, who's a little bit cheaper than him. Tay Martin, if I'm going to Spencer Sanders in Oklahoma State at 7,300, He's clearly their number one. Therefore, if I'm going to play Spencer Sanders, it will absolutely be with Tay Martin. Dante Cephas, if you're going to go there to Kent State, Cephas is probably their number one target. And I also like Nakeem Johnson down there. Both of those guys have big upside. If this game does decide to pop off a little bit, the price is pretty right. Cephas is obviously 7,100, but Nakeem Johnson is 4,100. I think you could double stack that and, just write it down and move on. So that's an interesting play. Again, kind of attacking, Alabama. Georgia spreads the ball out to every single person on their team, it feels like. But the one constant and the one guy who's an absolute stud is Brock Bowers. So I will be playing him for sure. There's no one on Bama's defense that can match up with him. And if this game does happen to get up and go a little bit and start to the pace starts to pick up, Bowers is a very, very strong play this week. So that's why I like Bowers and Cook. I'm hoping this game, shoots out, not to the extent of 85 points, but if it gets up and gets going, Bowers and Cook for me on the Georgia side are the two most explosive guys, I think, on that team. Tyquan Thornton at 5,700 is a really good price, but the only way I'm playing him is if Bohannon's playing for for Baylor. So if Bohannon is in, Thornton becomes a really good play here. Jared Wayne at 4,400 for Pittsburgh is a really good price tag. And then for Michigan, the one dart throw sub 4K that I'm taking a shot on is Dalen Baldwin. He's been getting more run recently. He could pop one into the end zone like he did, I believe, last week. And he's another price saver. If he can get you 10, 12, 15 points at 3,800, you should be able to throw together a pretty sweet lineup. So that's pretty much it for championship week. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for staying with us all season. We still have a ton of NFL content coming to you through the remainder, through the playoffs, Super Bowl, everything. And then pending what happens in baseball with this newly founded lockout as of last night, we should have baseball content as well coming to you. So please do us a favor, subscribe, rate, review, give us a thumbs up, comments, follow us on social media. We're trying to build and grow this thing, so every little bit helps. And hopefully you guys can win some money this week. Definitely let me know if you do. I think that's the coolest part of doing this is helping others and helping everybody, try to take home a big share of the pot. So let me know if you guys do pull one off, and good luck this week. And until next time, late.